Today I'm going to show you how to make a tumbler like this. For this tumbler, I'm going to be using these glitters from the Glitter Guy. Jawbreaker, white to pink. So this one goes from white to pink when it's in sunlight. Frozen fractals and white to blue. The first step in making this tumbler is going to be sanding it and prepping it. So I'm going to take this tumbler and sand it really good all over, scratch it up, and I'm going to then spray paint it and let it dry for a while. Now I have my tumbler painted. It is not the best paint job, but it's going to be okay. At least it gives it a pretty white background to put the glitter on. So I realize that this is spinning very crookedly, but that's okay right now because there's no epoxy on it. I'll fix that before I epoxy the cup. So now I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then I will epoxy the cup with a very thin layer of epoxy, and then I will glitter it at that point as well. And that's the next step. This cup is now glittered, and I'm going to take it outside and spray it with some clear coat. Then I'm going to let that dry and come back and do a layer of epoxy over it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 5 to 10 milliliters of epoxy in each of these. And when I have the epoxy in there, I'm going to then add different colored paints to the epoxy, mix it in really well, and then I'm going to do a thin layer of epoxy over my white cup, and then I'm going to take a stick and swirl in the colored epoxy over that layer. At this point, I'm going to sand the top around the rim, clean that up a little bit. I'm going to maybe sand the edges of glitter down here, but I'm going to be very careful about that because I don't want to take any of the color off. And then I'm going to do another layer of epoxy and smooth it out a bit. I also wanted to add that anytime I sand my tumblers, I go and wash it off with a little bit of Dawn dish soap. That helps to get any particles off of it and also any grease or oily spots that could repel epoxy. Okay, the design of this cup is now finished. It just needs to be sanded again and another layer or two of epoxy added over it. At that point, I can add someone's name to it, and I would do it kind of diagonal over one or two of the colors here. And I think that would look really cool. Thanks for watching my video and coming along for the journey.